Hey guys, welcome to tonight's call, Team Arise. I'm just really super excited to be here and be able to introduce my good friend. And we've known each other for 13 years. I can always figure it out because I was pregnant with my daughter, Serafina, when we met. And his name is Keith Callahan, as you all know. So thank you, Keith, for being here. Keith is a 10-star diamond Millionaire Club member, three-time elite, and father of five. And he just wrote this book that came out on January 7th called Build to Last. I was very much one of the ones who had the pleasure of writing a review for it in the front of it. And it will, if you haven't gotten it yet, it will definitely change your life. So I am so excited to introduce you and so grateful for you to be here, Keith. Thank you for being here and chatting with all of us.
Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? And hi, Lisa. Hi, Rose. I'm changing my view so I can see everybody that's on. See who I know. I'm grateful to be able to be here with you guys tonight, and I want to I want to really focus in. This is a new coach. Like everybody on here is a fairly newer coach. Is that accurate? Newish. This isn't like a diamond and above team call. Mostly new people. Awesome. Well, I want to just really I was thinking about the topic to cover tonight and praying about it, and the topic of what are we really doing as Beachbody coaches kept coming up, and what is this real job? Because a lot of times we can think that our big job and our big focus as coaches is getting people into challenge groups and hitting Success Club, right? Like we really get caught up in that, and that's sort of beat over our heads. But I personally believe it's a little bit more than that. And when Lisa and I had first met, so it was like this group of people. It was myself, my wife Amy. You guys know Bob Lucido, Lisa's sponsor. It was Bob, his wife, and this other woman, Kai Rose. She's a Beachbody coach too, a little less active right now, but we had all met, and the way that we had met and the way that we had all come together, it was really through community. It was through a spiritual community, and I was thinking about it, and the biggest thing that really attracted me to that community, and then it flowed into Beachbody as well, it was a safe place for me to talk about a lot of the stuff that was going on in my life. It was a safe place for me to share some of the struggles in my life, and really it was a place where for the first time I grew up, and I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but I had a crazy family. Like I had a crazy home life. And I grew up with alcoholic father, enabling mother, and then like alcoholism on both sides of the family. Just, your normal New England family. And I grew up in that. And I'll be honest, guys, when I first started, when I first met Lisa, it was right around that time, and I was like 27, 28 years old. That was the first time in my entire life that I had ever been able to feel love and receive love. Like that's the type of that was my upbringing, and that imprint wasn't even in me. It was just like all mental. Everything was mental. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about I really feel blessed to have come into this business at the same time Lisa did, at the same time Bob did, at the same time Kai did, at the same time Shiva did. And I think that we had one advantage that other people may not recognize, and I don't even think we recognized it either. And the advantage we had is that we had this built-in community. We had this built-in support system, and we all did this business together. Like we worked as a team, and we really, like, we were helping each other with calls. We were talking to people for each other. We were supporting each other. We were encouraging each other. And it was a support system of belief that we could actually do this. And I believe that, like, when we're looking at what is it that we do as Beachbody coaches, I think the first part we have to look at is we're actually developing ourselves. And a big part of that, and where I really want to start this call, is plugging into the community, but plugging in a real way. So a lot of times we talk about like being personal development and working on ourselves. And I believe that if we want to bring other people into this business, or if we want to bring, like, other people in to work as coaches, or if we want to attract other customers in to go into our challenge groups, I believe we have to be giving it all ourselves first. And I'll be the first one to admit that I'm sort of in and out with this. I am not a die-hard challenge group person. But if I am going to be running a challenge group, it's useless to do it if you're not all in yourself. And what I mean by that, I don't mean that you have to be, the six pack abs, whatever it is for women, the size 2 like jeans, like whatever it is. Like, I'm not talking about that, but that you're on your own journey, that you're stepping into this. Like, we signed up as Beachbody coaches, and in the simplest terms, what I think that means, what it means to me is, here's our job. And this is something you probably want to write down. Our job is to become the best version of ourselves, and then to help others become the best version of themselves. Like, that's it. It's not any more complicated than that. And I really believe that starts with community. And I believe that we have three types of communities here. You have your team community with all the coaches. Then you have your challenge group communities, right? Little communities. And then you have the Beachbody community as a whole. And you're going to get out of this business what you put into the community to start. So when you're a member of the team page, I really believe, like, contributing into the team page, sharing in there, being an active participant in that. When you're working in your challenge group, like, I think I look back to the times when we had these little challenge groups together, and back then Facebook wasn't even around. This is back when we were, like, writing on tablets. It was so long ago, but we supported each other, but it was deeper than just I did my workout, I drank my shake, here's my cute selfie. It was really man, I'm struggling with this right now, and I need this community to pick me up. Or it was real. It wasn't surface stuff. It was, I'm in this thing to heal my life, to change my life, to be the best version of myself. And I know that I have to lean on the community and lean into the community, not as an energy sucker, but there's some times where I'm going to be picking other people up, and there's other times where they're going to be picking me up. So I really believe that, again, what is it that we're doing here? We're becoming the best version of ourselves, and then we're helping other people to become the best version of themselves. And that starts with plugging into the community and plugging into our own journey. And I think that, so in network marketing, if you go to any network marketing company, they talk about personal development, right? And they talk, usually that network marketing lingo is read 10 pages a day. I honestly think that there's nothing, the personal development of plugging into a program and starting there. Like we start at that place of starting with our fitness journey, or maybe it's 2B mindset and starting with conscious eating. Maybe it's transform 20, like whatever it is. but really plugging in. Here's the deal. When we plug in and we do a program 100%, again, I'm not talking about, you're at your ideal weight, you're at your ideal this, you're at your ideal that, but you're going all in on it. Like you're going in on the community, you're going in on your program, you're going in on the nutrition part. What happens is we start to feel better. We start to feel more alive. We start to get that twinkle back in our eyes. We start to feel more excited, more energized, more inspired. And so the second part of this I was talking about, like we're leading ourselves, where we're becoming the best version of ourselves. When we do that, it's going to make the second part of our job so much easier. Because a lot of us, we want to sort of scratch around on the outside stuff. We want to poke around a little bit with doing the workouts, poke around a little bit with getting involved with the team, but we never really go all in on it. Like we never dive into it 100%. And when we're not diving in 100%, it's so much harder to do the business. It's so much harder to share the business. It's so much harder to be on the other side of it. Can anybody empathize with this? Like, can you guys get it? Like, so the message starting is really go all in on this thing. It's kind of like if you were to, one of the things that I'm proudest of in my life is with my wife and I, like we're all in with each other, and we have to be. Like in a marriage, you have, in order for, at least for me, like in order for it to really work, each one of us has to be all in on that. And we're all in to the point that, we have an agreement that if there's ever anything like wild and crazy, we're never going to walk out. We're never going to leave. Like if something happens, we're in this, and we would be in it for a year more. Like we would go to therapy, we would do all these different things, but it's a commitment to being all in. And if there's hesitation and if there's doubt, your partner can feel that, your spouse can feel that, and there's a disconnect there, right? It's the same exact way with your business. If you're in this and you're like, well, I'm gonna kind of give this Beachbody thing a shot. I'm gonna try it out. Everybody that you're working with, everybody that you're talking to, when you're presenting this to other people, they can feel that and they know it. So going all in. I think that's where I want to just leave that. But the piece of becoming your brightest self, your shiniest self, like going all in on yourself before we can start doing this with other people. Does that make sense? All right. So the second thing, now let's say we're all in on this and we've decided to commit to this business. We've decided to commit to we're going to do it, and we're going to do it 100%. At the same time, really write this piece down. And I think it's an important piece, and it's an important piece to really remember. We're in a do and then learn business. So we're in a do and then learn business. And here's where a lot of us, and this is how we're trained. We're trained to go to school, get the education, maybe do an internship or something like that, maybe then go back to graduate school, get the master's degree, and then we start working, right? And we all understand that. Or we get the job and somebody trains us and we do, we take a couple steps, then we start working. Here's the deal when you get involved with network marketing. You don't need a single other training to start working your business. And this can be a little bit uncomfortable because we think that once the next Instagram training comes, once the next this comes, once the next that comes, once I lose those 10 pounds, then my business is going to start picking up. As a Beachbody coach, you have two things that you need to do every single day. And this is before even going all in on like yourself, right? If you're coming into this business and if you want to do this business, The first thing that you need to do is you need to share your product and share your business opportunity every single day. You don't need another trade. Like when you signed up as a coach, here's how you share the business opportunity. You connect with people that in your cold market, or I'm sorry, in your warm market. Explain to them how excited you are about this business. Explain to them how you would love for them to take a look at it, and then give them a third-party tool. That's it. Like you don't need any more than that. And again, I'm thinking back to when Lisa and I got started. Like we didn't have anything more than that. We had Bob, who really didn't know what he was doing either. We didn't know what we were doing, but we were excited about this. We were passionate about it. And it was the passion that grew the business. It was the excitement that grew the business. So again, we're in a do and then learn business. And what that means is today, when you get off this call or tomorrow morning, like however you work things, we're in a do and then learn business. I saw this really cool, somebody tagged me in an Instagram story, and she had that book, and it was like a tag that she was reading the book. And so anyway, she tagged me and said something about the book, and I direct messaged her back, and I was like, how far are you in? And it was the best answer I had ever heard. And she was like, I've only gotten through the introduction because I put it down to do my power hour. And I was like, yes, that's an awesome, you know what I mean? Like this call is not as important as doing the actual work, reading the book, taking the training, going on the Beachbody Champions page, all of that stuff. The reality is that we do it because it's easy and nobody can say no to us, and nobody can, like, we're not putting ourselves out there, right? What I would recommend is do that power hour first, then do your other stuff. That's the most important thing. If you get nothing done in the day, do that. Do and then learn. Two things. So do and then learn. Go out there, do your work, mess up. It's going to be ugly. You're going to say things that aren't right. You're going to fumble around, and then you get a little bit better. Oh, okay, that didn't work. That, I kind of looked like a fool in that situation. And then we learn, and we learn a little bit, and we learn a little bit, and we get a little bit better. But the most important thing, I made a commitment to start going live on Facebook every day. And I started last Monday, a week ago. And it was funny, on Sunday night, and I know we can all relate to this. So on Sunday night, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking what I wanted to do, and all of a sudden it clicked. It was like, I got to start going live on Facebook every day. And then what my next thought was? All right, so I'll take the month of February, and I'll get the right gear, and I'll get I got to make sure my lighting's right, and then maybe I'll make a backdrop, and I can have this nice backdrop, so when I go live, like, it all looks good. Can anybody relate to this? And then I was like, you know what? I just need to go live. And it's not going to be perfect. And the lights were bright. I looked like Casper the Ghost, and my whole face was white, and you could just see these two eyeballs. The lighting was bad. I stumbled around. I started the video, and I'm looking in the thing to look at the timer and the countdown, but I did it. And then the next day it was a little bit better, and then a little bit better. So with our business, we're going to do and then learn. So make sure you're always in that doing first phase. Make sense? All right. I want to tell you guys, this was like one of my favorite stories. Before we go into the story, how many of us, I know that you can't really see everybody, but raise your hand or type in the chat. Do you struggle with feeling like, do you get really nervous to talk to people, especially people that are close to you, and sharing the products with people, and sharing the business opportunity with people? Yeah, we all do. And I think that really coming back to understanding what it is that we have to offer. And one of the suggestions I would make is take yourself out of the equation. Excuse me. Because do you believe in Beachbody and do you believe in the business opportunity? I think we all do, right? Like we all know people who have had success with this industry who have, I mean, the products speak for themselves, right? We've had people that have had so much success with all the products. Take yourself out of the equation and you're plugging somebody into this opportunity or you're plugging somebody into the products. Because the reality is that both, so Lisa and I have the same sponsor, and then Rose is sponsored by Lisa. If Bob had never had the courage to ask us and talk to us and share this with us, nobody would be on this call. Think about that. Like if Lisa didn't sign up and then Rose didn't sign up, however you guys fall like in the downline, you wouldn't have this opportunity. But it took somebody having the courage to share something for all of us right now, for all of us to be here. And so I have this story, and it's about this guy. So it's told in the third person. And so I was sitting in my truck. I was driving my truck, and I had two of my kids in the back of the truck. And I'm listening to a podcast, and it's the Tara Brach podcast. For any of you guys, I don't know if any of you guys are meditators, but really cool podcast. So half of the episodes are meditation. I don't recommend listening to those while you're driving. But the other half of the episodes are like Tara telling stories. So I was listening to her podcast, and she starts telling this story, and she's telling it in the third person. So I'm going to go ahead and tell the story just like she was telling it. And the story was about two high school boys. And she said, and it starts off like this, and she goes into it like talking as a high school boy, and says that I had just gotten to a new school, is at this new school, and it was the end of the day, and I was getting to my locker, and we were in high school, and we had the halls with the lockers, and I was just really disheveled, and I was so I was like really disheveled, and I was, wait a second, hold on, I'm telling this story the wrong way. Let me start over. Let me take a step back. So there was this new boy coming to school. He had been there for a few days, and we were at the end of the day. And I was at my locker, and I sort of looked down the hall, and he was at his locker, and he was really disheveled, and he was like dropping his books, and there was papers kind of flying out, and he was like shaky and nervous, and like just this real like nervous, anxious energy. He's dropping all of his books, and it was kind of out of character for me. But I went over to him, and I bent down and grabbed one of the books, and I was like down on one knee, and I grabbed the book and like handed it up to him, and he was standing there above me, and he's looking down at me, and he's just looking at me in this way that I had never seen anybody look at me like this before. It was just deeper than a thank you. His eyes were just so deep with gratitude for me picking up the book. So anyways, I picked up a couple more books. I handed them to him, and he was still really disheveled and really just out of it, and nervous and anxious, and I don't know. Again, it was out of character for me, but I decided to walk with him a little bit. So we started to walk, and we walked down the stairs and out the front door, and it actually turned out that we both lived right around the corner from the school, and we both walked home. So we wound up walking home together, and I learned that his name was Steven, and Steven had just moved here from a new school. He had only been here for a couple of days, and that's kind of all I really learned about him then. And then it kind of formed a routine. We were both freshmen in high school, and it started in this routine where we would walk to school together. He would, we would meet each other and walk in, and then we would walk home, and we weren't really that close, but in that freshman year. But yeah, we kind of just wound up connecting with each other, and then it formed into a close relationship. And as the years went on, eventually we got to our senior year, and Steven was, he had just grown into that guy that everybody envied. And he was a pretty good looking guy, but he was a kind and sweet person and a genuine person, and everybody just loved him. And he wound up being the valedictorian of our class, and he was the prom king, and then he was the captain on the football team. And I wasn't really jealous of him, but I envied him. I envied him for the man that he had grown into. And then fast forward, and we got to graduation day, and again, Steven's the valedictorian, so he was giving the commencement speech. And we're all filing into the gym, and we sit down, and he was sitting in front of me, and the graduation's going on, and I can tell what's getting to the point that they're going to call his name, because he's getting like really nervous, and he's kind of getting twitchy in front of me. And so I reached up and I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said to him, and he kind of turned around, and I looked at him and I was like, "Don't worry, like you're gonna be great." And he looked at me with those same eyes again, those same eyes from when I picked up the books and gave them to him. And he was like, "Thank you." But it was that like those same eyes. And so anyways, he gets up to give his speech, and he starts first talking about how the role that our parents and our family play in our lives, and how it's our formative years, and he shares all about that. Then he starts talking about the teachers and all the connections, and he shares this one story about one teacher who was really special to him. And then he gets to talking about the real gift and the real thing that high school is all about is the connections that we have with our friends. And he said that when I first got to this school as a freshman, I had left another school because I was getting bullied. And I had to leave that school because of the bullying. And then I got to this school and it started again. And I was 3 days into school here, and I was at my locker, and I was actually clearing out my locker that day, and I was dropping all these books, and a friend came over and he picked up one of the books and handed it to me. And he said, that changed the trajectory of my life. He said, the reason that I was clearing out my locker was because I was going to commit suicide that day. And I didn't want my parents to have another thing to do. I didn't want them to have to deal with another thing. And he said, and then I had a friend that came by, and it wasn't a friend at the time, and he picked up the book and handed it to me. And that's all he did. But at that time, it gave me hope. It showed that somebody cared, that somebody had it within them to actually care about me and to recognize me and to help me. And so now this is Keith talking now. So I'm driving down the road with my kids in the car, and I'm literally like, I have tears coming down my eyes, and I'm like sobbing, crying. My kid, and again, remember, my two kids are in the back seat, and they're like getting really nervous. They're like, "What's going on with you?" Because it wasn't even like just a few tears running down. It was like the like that stuff going on. It was like getting into a full out cry. And I don't know, that story just hit me, because I feel like, again, honestly, that story hit, and I've never shared this before. That's what I had in that community with Lisa and Bob and Shiva. And it was hope when I didn't have hope in my life. And then getting into Beachbody and plugging into this community 100%, it was just deeper than that. And it was people that cared, and people that they were sick and tired of living a certain way, and they wanted to live life to the fullest, and they wanted to love and care and nurture and support each other. And I feel like if we can focus on that story and we can focus on all the people out there who need what we have to offer. Again, it's not about us. Do you know how many people are suffering? Do you know how many people have gone through and they've tried this diet and that diet and that diet, and yo-yoed and yo-yoed, and they haven't had something that's worked? You don't have to worry about whether or not this works. We know that it works. All that we have to worry about is sharing with people and then really loving them when they get in our groups, because that's what we need. We don't need someone to count our macros and like that's all done. We need support. We need love. We need community. We need a place that we can all feel a part of something and that we're going somewhere with someone. So when you're sharing the business opportunity, when you're sharing the products, when you're inviting to your challenge group, look at it that way. Stop worrying about when someone's going to go boo and say, oh my gosh, we're worried that people are going to judge us. But we have this opportunity that can change lives. And we hold that back. We selfishly don't share that because we're a little bit nervous to, right? So just let go of that. Share from your heart. If you're doing it from your heart, it's always going to be right. You don't need to have the perfect words. You don't need to have all the, it's flowy speech and whatever. Just share from your heart. What is this company doing for you, and why would you love somebody to check it out? That's it. Don't make it any more complicated than that. I want to leave a good amount of time for questions, and then I don't know if there's other people jumping on. We're doing a call for Bob at 9 Eastern time, so I don't want everybody to be glazed over if you're jumping on that call too. I think the one final thing that I do want to share though, and my mentor in this business, so Bob was my sponsor, and we all worked with this guy, Craig Holiday, who was a mentor to us. And he used to have this saying, and he used to talk about building this business. And he said that building this business is fun and building it slow sucks. And I really believe that, like, if you want to do this, it's going all in, like diving into it all the way, energetically, mentally, physically, emotionally, and then actually like doing the work every single day. That's way more fun than you try it, you step back, you try it, you step back. When you're doing that, and we've all been there, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. It's not fun. Like it's kind of like yo-yo dieting again. So having consistency and being steady with this is a lot easier and a lot more fun than not going all in. Working harder is easier than kind of doing it. Does that make sense? So yeah, that would be my final recommendation. Like when you leave this call, we all have it. Like we can make a change like that. You know how long it takes someone to quit smoking or to quit drinking, or if they have an addiction? It actually happens in an instant. Because something happens. There's some type of energetic shift. There's something that happens in somebody's life, and all of a sudden everything changes, right? Your business, your life can change like that. It's literally a decision that we have to make. Nothing on the outside is going to change immediately, but the direction that you're going in, the results that you're going to start seeing can happen like that. And the decision is like, go all in, lean into it. And it's going to be scary. You're not going to know how to do this. It's going to be brand new, but you have a team and you have a community and you have the whole community of Beachbody there to support you along the way. So lean in, give it everything you've got, and do it for other people. Do it for yourself too. It's a balance, and do it for yourself and then do it for the other people that need what we have to offer.
Thank you so much. That was so good and open up my heart for sure. We wanted to open it up for questions.
Yeah, I can hang out till 5 minutes of 9 at the latest and take a little walk, and then we get that next call.
Okay. Great. Do you want to take over, Rose, for the? No? Okay. Anyone have a question? Go ahead and unmute yourself. If you don't know, it's in the lower left-hand corner. And it's a great opportunity to ask Keith, who is extremely successful in this business, to ask him anything you want. Carrie, did you?
Yeah, sorry. Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
You talked about community, and I know that's something that Bob Lucido has been talking about a lot, that I think has changed things for me a little bit. But as far as offering the business opportunity, are there certain people that you looked for? Are there certain qualities that you were after? Were you offering it to people who have already been a part of the challenge groups? What has been like the best practice for you in recruiting and building leaders?
Yeah. I don't think that it matters the way that you go about it. I think that the intention matters most. And what I mean by that is for me personally, I wanted to build a big business. I wanted all the benefits that network marketing can offer. And the most important one was freedom, like freedom of time, freedom to not have a boss. So I wanted to build a large organization, and the number that I learned was you're really only looking for 5 people. So, and in order to find those 5 people, you're going to have to talk with a lot of people. You're going to have to work with a lot of customers. You're going to have to work with a lot of coaches who do a little bit. You're going to work with a lot of coaches who go like halfway, and eventually you'll find some that want to go all in with this. So, and then the direct question is like, how do you go about finding those people? I think that you can, first of all, I think that whoever you're working with, they have to have had an experience with some of our products. And what I mean by that, they don't even necessarily have to have gone through and program and had this huge weight loss or anything like that. But for me personally, the product that I fell in love with was the Ultimate Reset. It was originally P90X, and it was the Ultimate Reset, now Shakeology. But I believe that our support system and our network and our products were different than other network marketing companies. Our stuff literally helps people and changes lives. Whoever you're working with, they have to be plugged into that. On the other end, now you're looking at, okay, how do we find people? There's plenty of people who are successful that literally are sharing the business opportunity and some in for the business. Nicole Jones came in that way. Tony Furtado came in that way. Haley Christian came in that way. So people that come in and they want to work the business up front. Then there's been other people who they go through, they haven't, like me, Lisa, Bob, like we all had experiences with the product first. The piece to keep in mind is that you have these people coming in. If somebody's going through your challenge group or you're sharing the products, your intention, if you're looking to build a big business, is that's kind of a funnel to get people that want to work this business. Does that make sense? So it's not, you don't have to change anything you're doing. Like if everything you're doing is working, what I would recommend is just change your end goal, your target, your intention is on finding in developing leaders. Like that's the ultimate thing that you're looking to do. And it's deeper than just duplication. Like if you go to all these network marketing trainers, they're going to talk about duplication. And the reason for that is because they've never built a large organization. It's not about duplication. That's a part of it. What it's really about is finding leaders. That's the piece that can give you all the benefits that network marketing offers. And just going a little bit deeper into that, in Beachbody specifically, Carrie, it's not just personally sponsored coaches. It's anybody in your downline who has that leadership potential and is showing that. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it's a good time for another plug because he talks a lot about it, leaders, developing leaders in this book is what he talks about, and what I talked a little bit about at the team retreat. But he also gives you freebies on his website that give you a lot of tips and a lot of how-tos and a lot of how he was able to have a team of leaders.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys want, if you go to keithcallahan.com/book, all the free stuff is in there. And there's 10 free things in there. And it's a couple of checklists. It's a couple of scripts. And then there's like 3 or 4 audios that this is exactly how I mentor people I'm working with. You'll definitely be able to pull stuff out of there. It's a little out of context if you haven't read the book, but you'll definitely be able to pull stuff out of there as a free resource.
Great. And we have a question from Kim. How do you best handle people that reach out and say, I'm interested, but then they go ghost? I think we've all had that.
Yeah. I think that the first thing is you have to know that that's part of this business. Like that's going to happen. The second thing I would say is people are busy and we think what we have to offer is the most important thing in the world, but they're not as interested as we are. So that would be the second piece. Third piece, continue to follow up. And what I like to do is I'll follow up like 2 or 3 times. And then this is the line that I love. I'll always send them a message saying, I feel like I'm that guy right now and I keep messaging you over and over and over. Just let me know either way. Like I don't want to keep annoying you. And usually somebody will answer when you do that. Yeah, I don't know if is there anything else you would add to that, Lisa or Rose?
I find humor works all the time for me. I'll say like, all right, I am literally and completely stalking you right now. And since I don't want to be a stalker, you need to just tell me a yay or a nay.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep following up with you, but let's just, and they'll laugh and they'll go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I've gotten signups from that.
Yeah.
I'll say, I know you're super busy, but, if you want, we can just hop on the phone and I'll sign you up. Just give me your credit card number over the phone and I'll sign you up right now. Can't believe how much that works.
Yeah.
And they'll go, sure, that's easier for me. But yeah, humor for sure. So I like the way that you said that. Or I'll just say, whatever comes into mind that's funny that day. So make it your own style. But hey, I'm even driving my own self crazy, I'd like to check you off my list here.
That's a good one.
And then I'll remind them why they messaged me in the first place.
Yeah.
I always go back to, hey, you told me 5 messages ago that you want to lose 10 pounds. Remind them.
Yeah.
And come from that place of love that you talk about.
Yeah, I definitely think I have gone, not the tough route, but I like to call people out like, hey, I see you're still watching me from like a year ago. Like I can, like I see on the stories, like, what's your hesitation? that way, like, I can actually answer what the problem is. And I kind of give them a way out too, or I'll say, what's your hesitation? Or did you reach your goal? That way they can say, oh, you know what? I didn't really reach it. Or, hey, I did. Oh, like, congratulations, whatever. So it just kind of opens up that conversation where they're not going to feel forced to anything, but at least they'll respond to you so you have an answer.
I concur.
Anybody else have any other questions for Keith?
Yeah, we got like 5 more minutes, so now's a good time if anyone wants to ask.
Don't be shy. All right, I'll ask Keith, or you want to?
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Rose.
You were talking about like going all in, and one of those being be a part of the community, right? Like being a part of the team page. What are some other actions does an all-in coach look like?
You got to read the book. No, seriously. Like a lot
it's
of
an
that.
awesome book.
A lot of that is in there, and I know that you know the answers to this, but I would say that belief in yourself, like if there was one thing that I would say is going to really determine your level of success, it's how much do you believe in yourself, and that's a muscle. So it's like exercising, right? We can't just talk about getting fit. We can't just read books about getting fit. Like we actually have to get in there, and we've got to work on our bodies, and we've got to exercise, and then we've got to work on what we're putting in our mouth, and then we've got to work on our thoughts too, right? And your belief in this business it's a verb. It's something that like we want to be. You want to be out there working the business, sharing the like doing everything. And that's going to help your belief to increase, but you also want to be exercising your brain. I used to have this mantra that I used to walk around saying all the time, and it used to be, I can, I will, I am, because my default, remember I talked about a little bit about my growing up, but there was a lot of programming that went with that too, and a lot of that went into that you actually can't, that you actually are not worthy, that you're not capable of doing this, that our family and what we do is we're blue collar workers. We get to a certain level, and that's where we are. And I had to change those thoughts. And here's the deal. We're going to talk to ourselves all day long anyways, right? We might as well put the effort in and make it something productive versus beating ourselves up all day. And I think that, you know who my favorite people to work with in coaching is people that are in AA. Like people that are in AA and they're really doing it because they just get it. And everybody thinks that like the 12 steps and Alcoholics Anonymous is about alcohol. And it honestly has nothing to do with that. It's all about their mindset, and it's all about like they shift the way they think, and they act in a humble way, and they act in service, and they they literally change from a ego-centered self to a God-centered self. And I believe in our business, your mental health, and that, again, that's a verb. That's something that we're working on. That's like being an active participant. And that's the 95% of this is all your mindset. The 5% are the actions. Because we've all experienced it, right? Like we've all been out there doing the actions but not getting results. And a big part of that is because we're still stuck in negative mental habits. We're still beating ourselves up. We're still holding on to those resentment, holding on to those guilts, those shames, those insecurities. We're still in that unhealthy relationship. Like we have these toxic things. And I think the ultimate goal for us is to Have you guys ever heard Carl Deichler? He did one call once, and I asked him to really dig into mindset. Have you guys ever heard of him talk about the snake in the room? Oh my gosh, this is so good. So this is what I think it's all about. So he was saying that the number one thing he thinks about in his entire life, he was taught this philosophy from, I forget who the guru was, but it's called the snake in the room. And he said that we're these bright shiny lights, right? And we're able to walk in our power, and we're able to know where we're going, and we're able to live the life that we're put on this earth to do. And then as we're doing that, there's going to be snakes that try to bite us. And these snakes are people that criticize us, people that tell us we're not good enough. And he was talking about Beachbody gets a lawsuit, or they get fined, or someone writes a bad review, or a product tanks, and we're going to have all these things. He said that he views life in a sense of he's got two jobs: not to get bit by a snake, and if he does, to get that poison out of him as fast as he can. And I really think that that's what Beachbody coaching is all about, because not getting bit by that snake is you walking in your power, is you being the brightest, shiniest version of yourself. And we all know it, because it's different. For one person it may be anxiety, another person depression, another person anger, guilt, shame, insecurity, self-doubt, those are the snakes, right? Whatever and some of us have been living with this poison. We got bit, and we're just walking around with this poison, and we've got to get it out of us. When Carl explained this, I was like, oh my God, yes. Does this make sense, you guys? What?
Walking around with Medusa head.
Does that make sense though, guys? You get that piece? Because that's the deeper piece that nobody talks about in network. Well, I know you guys do, because you guys have Lisa and Rose, but it's the actions should be automatic, and that's the stuff that's going to make the difference. That's what makes the difference from the people that see success in the business versus the people that flounder year after year.
I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. Rose, do you have any wrap it up type of things? No, you're good. You're like, no, I'm good. All right. Thank you so much, Keith.
You thought I was saying steak in the room, Lisa?
Yeah, for the first couple of minutes, I thought you were saying steak. So I'm having this visual of this big, huge steak with Carl Deichler, I don't know, funny. And I wasn't the only one. A couple people said it too.
All right. Next time I'm on, Lisa, I'll have to tell the Lisa story.
Oh my God, I almost told that. That is the very first time I met you. And yeah, not now though. Thank you so much. So
thanks, Keith. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
That was awesome. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.